we are now at the portion of starting our student pitch competition. So we're gonna be pulling up a few slides. We're actually going to have a couple of students that participated in our pitch competition last year come up and share a little bit of an update for you. And I would encourage anybody who is virtual, this is an incredible opportunity to watch, not only because you're gonna hear 5 of the best and brightest student teams pitching their business concepts, but the other reason is we're actually gonna ask for your help in judging and figuring out which one should win an awesome cash prize. So more on that in a little bit, but we are gonna judge a fan favorite, and you guys are gonna help us decide who that is, both everybody that's in person here and virtual as well. So one thing I would ask is any of our judges, if you would please come sit up here at your name badges. We're gonna go ahead and ask you to come up while we get everything together. And then also, I'm gonna ask Jessica and Zoe to come and give a little update on their business, Ready, Dress, Go. You want this one or this one?
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe. Jessica, unfortunately, is not here with me today. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for being here and for listening to my little update. But in case you weren't here at last year's competition, we were fortunate enough to be the winners of the pitch competition at VEC, which was awesome. And since then, we've really just been able to actually get the show on the road. And since the competition, we did a pre-launch, pre-sale model on a platform called I Fund Women, where we were able to get those payments ahead of time, and then that funded actually our first round of inventory that we ordered. And from there, that was in February of last year. And in September, we officially launched our Shopify site, where through both of those models, we've now gained 50 customers that are wearing our clothes, and we are so proud just to be seeing people, even Dina today, if you've seen her, she is wearing our outfit, which we just love to see. And so basically, just to give a little overview, if you weren't here, the business, we are an e-retail platform that provides professional attire for young women who are entering the business world. Jessica and I felt like we were starting out our business careers here at Vanderbilt and had no idea what to wear to look professional and to be professional, while also being young and being bold with our style. And so we decided to do something about it and designed a capsule collection that all young women can wear while they enter their first careers. They're doing internships and interviews, and we really just want to empower them to feel confident as they start that off, because we know that already it's more difficult for women to be in that professional world. So thank you so much for listening. I really hope you guys enjoy the other teams that are pitching this year, and give your utmost support to all of them, because this is an amazing competition that really allows people, students like me, to see their dreams come true with their businesses. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You did such a good job. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Zoe. Before we jump on in, I'm gonna give a rundown of how the pitch competition is going to work. So as I mentioned, we have 5 amazing teams participating. They were hand-selected and come from all different elements and schools of Vanderbilt University. So we have an undergraduate company idea, we have a PhD, we have an Owen, we have MSF, I'm missing one. Oh, EMBA. So we definitely chose the best and the brightest to be able to participate, coming from a variety of different industries as well. And so each team will have 10 minutes, 5 minutes to pitch their business concept, and then 5 minutes for judges' Q&A. And so we've got our panel of judges here. I'll get a little bit more into that in just a second. And I will be keeping track of time, and will, after each team pitches for the 5 minutes, we'll open it up to judges to ask questions, provide any kind of feedback, and then we'll end, as I mentioned, at that 10-minute spot. And we'll move to the next team. So if you are in the audience, whether virtual, whether in person, pay attention. Think about, questions you might have. What idea and what business concept you think is the best, because we are going to ask your help in judging the fan favorite. And so before I jump on in and announce our first team, I do want to acknowledge one of our very special guest judges that we have joining us, Matt Siraj. So Matt, I mentioned a little bit earlier today, him and Catherine, his wife, have sponsored the community coffee that we had during the breakfast. And so I want to share a little bit about Matt. He got his MBA from Owen in 1998. He is the chairman of Community Coffee. And he is a 4th generation owner of Community Coffee, which is pretty incredible. All these, entrepreneurs, we talk about the life cycle of entrepreneurship. The fact that 4th generation is an incredible feat. And he currently serves as the chairman of the company's board of directors. Matt has been involved with the family business since 1995 in a variety of roles, including coffee selection and roasting, brand marketing, coffee house operations, and new product development. He serves on the board of several local, national, and international organizations focused on public education, coffee health, and sustainable agriculture. He and his wife, Catherine, who is phenomenal, and I know she's here somewhere, they have 5 children and enjoy supporting local nonprofit organizations in their hometown of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So thank you, Matt, for joining us. We're so glad you're here. And now we will jump on into our first team, which is Daedalus. So welcome up here, Winnette. Winnete.
In 2022, the vast majority of serious traders are still manually managing their portfolios through Excel worksheets. In a world of rampant automation, where less than 10% of global trades are actually executed by humans, robots rule the stock market. Firms such as Jane Street, Citadel, and Two Sigma make hundreds of billions of dollars annually via their computerized automated trading systems. Yet, the average investor still does not have access to these tools. One must ask themselves, why? Well, for one, if someone without a deep programming knowledge wanted to create automated trading tools, they would have to worry about authentication. They would have to worry about security. They would have to worry about deployment and hosting. And that is simply above the technical heads of most people. My name is Winnete Pugh. I've been programming since the age of 12. These past few years, I worked as a freelance algorithmic trading bot developer, helping people to create these trading bots when they didn't know how to code. My freshman year, last year at Vanderbilt University, many of my friends came to me because they wanted me to help them create trading bots, and they themselves did not have the capacity to do this. And that is where the idea for Daedalus was born. And it's not just them. Look at the metrics. People are searching for tools that will allow them to trade more efficiently and trade in an automated manner. The current solution, if you don't know how to code, is to go and hire someone like me who will build the bot or the trading system for you. This presents an enormous market opportunity. Focusing on cryptocurrencies alone, over $68.3 billion is traded daily on leading cryptocurrency exchanges. Consumers globally spend over $100 million annually on advanced cryptocurrency trading tools such as Coinigy and Bittrex. And over 45 million Americans have traded cryptocurrency within the past 12 months. The solution is Dataless. Dataless allows anyone to automate their trades in their third-party brokerage account. This means we are not actually a stock brokerage or a crypto exchange ourselves, but we allow people to automate their trades in the accounts that they already have existing. We do this through a drag-and-drop no-code interface that is inspired by Scratch, a tool that allows kids to learn how to code. If kids can learn how to code through Scratch, then you can automate your investments on Dataless. Oh, I was supposed to show a demo video there. So that is a quick demo of our platform and how it works. As you can see, there are preset blocks that users can combine into strategies. And all we do right now is allow people to create their own trading strategies. We do not actually provide any strategies to users. These are some of the, oh, sorry. Please move forward, thank you. Yeah. These are some of the user journeys that we envision, how users will be using our platform. One, there's paper trading. So with paper trading, that just means you're not actually buying and selling real assets. It's just you submit your trades and then we give you the returns if you had actually bought them. Users can also live trade. This means that you will connect your Robinhood, your Alpaca, your Coinbase accounts, and the platform will execute the trades for you. And last three, competition. We want to host competitions where the best strategies will be taken. And that leads right into the business model. Free users will be paper trading only. Then there will be a subscription of $50 a month for users who want to actually place live trades. And another additional opportunity for revenue is by directly investing in the best strategies that are on the platform through the competitions. Some of the competitors that exist today include Streak.World, Algo Design Lab, and Numerai. To date, there is no leading direct-to-consumer company that allows one to create these trading bots without coding. Algo Design Lab was recently sold for $500 million, and they basically did what I'm trying to do, but for B2B. However, there's still huge user experience improvements that can be made. I actually showed this interface to a former trader at JP Morgan, and he told me that the user experience is better than the internal tools that they use there. To date, we have amassed a waitlist of over 1,000 people. We have our paper trading app, which you saw a demo of, that is in private beta. I run a quant trading newsletter that has over 50 subscribers. And recently we were backed by Corey Levy, who was a college dropout and the founder of the After School app that was #1 on the App Store in 2018 and ultimately acquired by Ancestry. We are hoping to launch publicly in May of 2022, and while I am not actively fundraising, I do plan to close a pre-seed round by the end of the summer. Myself, I'm an engineering student at Vanderbilt. I used to freelance making trading bots, and I've published 3 mobile apps to date that collectively have over 100,000 downloads, one of which just reached 4 figures in monthly recurring revenue. I am a 3-time software engineering intern, and this summer I am scheduled to intern as a product design intern at Meta, formerly Facebook. Thank you very much. Open for questions.
Amazing job. At this point in time, I want to open it up. If any judges, we'll start with this table. If you have any questions, comments, feedback that you like to provide, there's microphones there, so feel free to grab it. And Matt, please start us off.
See if I'll be the first to see if this works. It does work.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That was a great presentation. I think real clearly you've identified a gap that I imagine you're not the only person to identify the consumer solution gap. What milestones have you crossed that will give confidence that you can scale up this business model in time to outpace some of these well-established B2B and international competitors?
Yeah, definitely. So what I think makes Dataless unique is just our focus on user experience. And like you said, there are a couple other emerging players in this space right now, and while I've used their products, I don't think that it's very intuitive for someone who actually comes from a zero-level programming background. Which is why, for me, I've made a huge effort to do customer interviews, and I'm very in touch with my target user because it's my friends.
Great. Who else has a question? Please, Ethan.
Two quick questions. One, with your summer internship coming up at Meta, what do you hope that internship gives you that you can then use for this business? And then the second question, totally separate. How are you approaching customer acquisition for the platform?
Yeah, so in regards to my summer internship, I actually was accepted to an accelerator program, and I had the opportunity to go full-time on this and not come back to school this semester. However, I decided that right now was not the right time for me, and I think that having a name like Meta on my resume will be better for me and my entrepreneurship journey in the future. In terms of customer acquisition, most of the channels that I go to acquire the people for my newsletter, for example, have been Reddit, Discord, and word of mouth. And I think that this can also be scaled further once the product is out. But for now, I really just want to focus on having a very solid product.
Is there a specific asset that you're going to launch with a focus on?
Yes, both equities and cryptocurrencies. And because of the way that I engineered this and the library that I'm using, it just comes down to the different API integrations for the actual buy and sell functions. So for equities, we're going to be using the Alpaca API, and for cryptocurrencies, I'm currently working on integrating the Coinbase Pro API.
Any regulatory hurdles that you need to overcome before you launch?
Honestly, I am not the right person. I don't know anything about regulation. From cursory conversations with lawyers, that is one of the reasons that I originally only wanted to launch with cryptocurrencies due to laxer regulation around those, and also currently why the app is only in private beta and it only supports paper trading.
We've got time for one more question if somebody else wants to chime on in.
Testing. What is your business model? How do you make money?
Yeah, thank you for that. So I think if we go back to the user journey slide and also related the business model slide, the only paying users will be the ones that are using this to make actual trades. The paper trading is just to allow people who might be skeptical at first to try it out and see what it's like. Also, the reason I put Numerai as one of my competitors, for those who don't know what Numerai is, Numerai functions as like a crowdsourced hedge fund. So they release data, and it's like a data science competition that anyone can enter. Well, my thoughts were, there are people who are very knowledgeable about trading, but they just can't code. So what is stopping them from entering these kinds of competitions? And I truly believe that there is a business model in directly investing in strategies that people use the Datalist platform to create.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Winate. Our next concept is Solar Aqua Flex by Drew Horseman. So Drew, come on up and pitch your concept. We're excited.
All right. So in the US, we use 100 gallons of water per person per day, and that's just personal use. But what if you don't have access to a freshwater source, regardless of its quality? And what if you don't have access to power to purify it, even if you did? The Solar Aqua Flex is a flexible, solar-powered water purification mat. And through our customer discovery, we've identified a big problem that exists today in the water and wastewater treatment space. Oops. And that is for these end users in remote or water-scarce regions can no longer afford the status quo because of the costs and complexities associated with the equipment, the infrastructure, and the low freshwater recovery. The status quo are these complex centralized water treatment facilities. Not only is the equipment itself extremely expensive, it can cost tens of millions of dollars, but because they consume so much energy, they require grid-tied power access. The infrastructure for power lines alone costs around $1 million per mile, and that CapEx is over 33% of the total CapEx for the water treatment project. And because our end users are in these arid regions and and the centralized water treatment facility has low recovery, they're having to supplement their freshwater supply and get rid of the residual wastewater via tanker trucks. And water is really heavy, so shipping it is extremely expensive. So to put it into perspective, we have a letter of interest from Integra Resources. They're a big mining company that owns this site up in Idaho, but they don't have access to fresh water at this site. So they ship it in at $15 per meter cubed. But they have this big wastewater pond on site that they're just evaporating water to the air just to get rid of it. We could put a quarter-acre solar aquaflex installation on that pond. It'd cost them $200,000, but they would recuperate that cost in less than a year and 3 months, producing water at 40 cents per meter cubed on site and saving $160,000 per year. So the solar aquaflex is like a yoga mat. It's rollable, you can roll it up and throw it out onto the water you want to treat, and then you just simply set it and forget it. It uses the heat from the sun to distill water, and it uses absorbent materials to passively pump water into and out of the device. The real novelty and where we provide value is our highly efficient design. We can enhance evaporation rates by a factor of 10 versus the status quo, and we can provide simultaneous freshwater recovery at a competitive cost. And we can drive down that cost because our system is completely passive, meaning there's virtually no operating costs and there's no moving mechanical parts that need frequent replacement or skilled labor to operate and maintain. So our beachhead is the mining industry, and that's really because the mining industry is ripe for disruption right now. There's a big push for sustainability in the mining industry, both internally and externally. And we expect the mining industry to boom as we move towards grid electrification. If we look at the states in the U.S. with optimal levels of solar irradiance and water scarcity levels that are geographically located for optimal solar aquaflex installation, the serviceable obtainable market's around $35 million. But our vision is just to start there. Our goal is to reach a much wider audience in the water and wastewater treatment space. We're targeting, or not only because we think our technology can try to ease some of the tension between the industry and the environment and society, the impacts it has there, but we also think our technology can provide drinking water to underprivileged, low-resource, or disaster-stricken communities. We're targeting humanitarian organizations on the drinking water side, and we're targeting engineering firms on the wastewater treatment side because they have the expertise to apply the technology the best place it fits. So the serviceable obtainable market here is around $225 million in the US. So our business model is to sell the technology in 3 product tiers. Tier 1, which can treat relatively simple waters, up to Tier 3, which treats the more highly saline, harsh wastewaters. And we can offer a competitive price because our levelized cost of water, or the money you're spending per meter cubed of water you produce, is significantly lower than that of competing technologies. Eventually, we want to offer a buy one, give one business model where we subsidize sales to the humanitarian space while letting these bigger companies meet their ESG goals. So we've raised $55,000 from previous grants. We filed a provisional patent, or a provisional patent with that, and developed our lab scale prototype. We're currently in the running for several other prospective awards related to climate tech, and we're raising a pre-seed round of $500,000 to develop an operational prototype. We have 3 letters of interest from potential pilot testing partners, and we have 4 commitments from engineering firms who are willing to help us with those pilots and potentially buy our product. So I've built my dissertation around this core desalination technology we use in the solar aquaflex. And while I'm the expert in the water treatment space, my partner, John Brown, is the expert in the mining industry. He's got over 35 years of experience there, and it's really helped us get our foot in the door with these bigger companies. Today, over 10% of the world's population lacks access to fresh water, and the global water crisis is becoming more and more of a real problem, especially even in the US. So we think that we're the team that can bring this thing to the market and where it can really start to make a change. So with that, I'll say thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Drew. All right, Matt, Andrew, anybody? Chris, Ethan, questions?
Yeah, sorry. So if you could just talk a little bit more further about sort of the next steps of how this product gets from where it is in prototype to implementation. You mentioned the $500,000 raise for that. Like, how close does that get you to being able to fulfill those letters of intent or take the product to market?
Yeah, so one of our benefits of offering that tiered pricing strategy and going for those low complexity wastewaters early, we can, basically that tier 1 is our alpha. So we're not far from the alpha. We just need to scale up and do some optimization. That could be done in the next year or so when that funding comes through. And that'll allow us to generate early revenue, early sales, targeting those, for example, the water from Integra. That water's pretty simple. It's just outside what they can discharge to the environment. So we could apply our technology there first, get some early sales, early traction, while we continue R&D to make them more the solution that can treat the harsher wastewaters with more bells and whistles that extends the lifetime.
I have a brief question. Great website, by the way. I want you to do some research on you in preparation for this, and I think you've explained the business case well. My question really had to do about the intellectual property. You said that you were in the process of, is it a design patent? Is it what kind of intellectual property allows you to have a competitive advantage and a first mover advantage?
Yeah, so I guess the real novelty is we're taking this tried and true efficient design rationale that is applied in several separation technologies, but we package it in a way that's complex and modular, or compact, sorry, and modular and flexible. So the flexibility, the compactness is a design patent. It's very novel. Nothing else in the space is currently using this efficient design in the way that we are. So it's really scalable for these solar scenarios.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free, Mark.
Excellent. Great. I know you're early on in the process, but I'm curious to learn a little bit more about margins expectations as you grow. How much is it going to cost to manufacture this?
Yeah, we're estimating a margin just based on the prices I listed in that business model slide. We're estimating margins around $50 per meter squared. So an acre is around 4,000 meters squared. So I guess $20,000 margin on a quarter acre installation. If my math is right, I might be wrong, but yeah, we're based on material costs, the cost of manufacture. We've had some conversations with potential manufacturing partners, and that's what we're estimating right now.
Great. And you would charge how much for that?
A quarter acre would be around $200,000 to $300,000.
Gotcha.
That's the average size we estimate. It could be much bigger. It could be slightly smaller. In the drinking water space, we're going to sell more individual units, so they'd be closer to $100 to $200 just for the yoga mat size device.
We've got time for one more question. Any judges, questions, feedback? Please.
So you said you had one person in sales. How do you look to scale this up from a customer acquisition standpoint?
Yeah, we plan really targeting those engineering firms is going to give us a lot more sales because they're the experts in the water. The mining companies don't want to have to deal with the water treatment. They outsource that to the engineering firm. So if we can get it in with the engineering firm and they can be a regular customer, that's how our sales will start to grow and branch out to several other mines. And we have those engineering firms that we have commitments from are big names in the water treatment space in the mining industry. So that's why we're focusing on them early.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you. All right. Our next team is Tune Hatch, and Crystal Hector is coming to represent the company.
My name is Crystal, and I'm the CEO of Tune Hatch, bringing live music your way. Cue video.
This is such a cool setup. I'm used to playing in bars where no one listens, so.
But they were telling me all about this app that they are creating, and I was on board immediately.
Thank you so much, Tune Hatch, for having me. This is literally so cool.
You're not mine, but I am.
Unlike the happy artists and excited fans you saw in that video, most local shows look like this picture right here. Venue near empty, artists unpaid, nobody's happy. The problem is that it's difficult to book live music shows in a way that is consistently profitable, and for fans, they often find it difficult to find engaging local shows to attend. The solution to this is Tune Hatch, an online platform that uses predictive analytics to help independent musicians and venues book more profitable shows, as well as fans find unique local shows that they'll love. Our founding team has passion-driven experience in music and media, as well as hard skills in finance, technology, and operations, as well as advisors who've reached the pinnacles in their fields and have a passion for helping young entrepreneurs succeed. The video you saw at the beginning was of our pilot run in Nashville, featuring 65 engaged fans, 6 up-and-coming artists, and 1 unique intimate venue. Our post-show survey showed that 98% of attendees were willing to pay for a concert like this, and over a third of them were willing to pay over $20 per ticket. Now, through free marketing, we also gained over 18,000 impressions on social media, over 30 artists reached out to us, and we have 2 venues for our platform. Our target customers are independent musicians and venues, as well as fans of live music. We're going to start by focusing on the musicians and fans, and over time, build up the presence of venues on our platform. The global live music industry is worth $30 billion. And when we look at Nashville specifically, it's worth $1.6 billion, making it the perfect city to get this company started. Now, when we look at the competitive landscape, we see that Tune Hatch is a foil to Live Nation, attending to the independent artists and musicians that Live Nation completely overlooks. Furthermore, Tune Hatch is the only platform that seamlessly integrates both booking as well as promotion and ticketing geared towards the independent music community. When we consider the aspects that make Tune Hatch stand out against the competition, we see that it's in 2 main areas. First of all, we're the only platform that allows fans to preview shows before buying tickets or attending the concerts. This includes things like reviews, performance videos, etc. And secondly, we have a predictive analytics-powered recommendation algorithm that allows us to recommend shows to fans in a way that fits their nuanced tastes, as well as recommend pairings between musicians and venues in a way that maximizes turnout and thus revenues. So when you look at the way we make money, we primarily make money through a percentage of ticket sales and guarantees, and when we only take the street of Broadway and 5 additional venues here in Nashville, that adds up to about $500,000 a year. When we expand to the rest of the city of Nashville, that adds up to $1.5 million every single year. So, why now? There are 3 major factors that make Tune Hatch a guarantee. First, democratization, which empowers everyday people to disrupt big industry. We see this with Airbnb, DoorDash, and Uber. Second, personalization. People these days expect companies to deliver value in a way that is personalized to their unique tastes and needs. And third, there are more creators of live music experiences than ever before, looking for ways to share their art with the world. Let's take shows from empty to engaging, helping musicians and venues make money along the way. Thank you.
Awesome job. Great job. Great job, Crystal. Any judges have questions, feedback? I'll open it up to anybody to hop on in. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Oh, yeah. Liz, you should be. You're the
so many
expert in
questions.
music. Come on.
One, can you speak to the algorithm that you have that is that pulled from Spotify data? How do you kind of match that algorithm to artists and fans?
Yeah, so there are quite a few different inputs that go into our algorithm. So we have natural language processing, which essentially takes the sentiments within reviews and determines, what does it mean? How can we factor that into what the person might like next? Also, social media, Spotify, TikTok, we're scraping those inputs as well to find not only the next big thing, but gauge the pulse of fans in the local community to better recommend shows towards them.
And a quick follow-up, how do you, who's responsible for the marketing of the show? Is it your company or is it the independent artist? Because I think we see a gap in that where sometimes the venue is expecting the artist to promote the show, but the artist is expecting the venue to.
Right, so you pointed out an amazing or a really big problem that's in the industry. Either the artists or the venues are expected to promote, and it doesn't always work out. So the goal with TuneHatch is because we're so good at recommending shows to fans, they know to go to our website to find their shows. So even if the artist or the venue isn't that great at promoting their own shows, people trust that TuneHatch will show them shows they'll love. So.
Fantastic.
Are you able to protect your algorithm? IP standpoint, like how easy is your competitors can replicate it?
Right. So the idea of the algorithm is that it improves upon itself over time. It increasingly gets more and more precise, similar to how you have Amazon's algorithms, Netflix, any sort of website that deals with recommendations. They get more precise over time with more user data, more use, and that's the plan with ours, and thus we believe that's going to be very difficult to copy over time.
Over here. Going off the algorithm question, at what point do you reach a critical mass that you have enough data that you're able to make the recommendations and function in the way that you've articulated for both the venue and the artist and the user?
Yeah, so we can actually start recommendations from now with really zero data, and that really just comes down to high-level inputs that are typically correlated with people, enjoying a show, whether they tend to like a certain genre, whether, they're from a certain area. Those just very high-level inputs, and then over time, it becomes more and more specific by picking up on more specific inputs to the algorithms.
And then quick follow-up on the business model piece. I saw you take a percentage on the ticket sale side. Mm-hmm. Do you plan on offering your own payment processing or partnering with one of the processing giants to do that for you?
We currently partner with Stripe. Yeah.
All right, we've got time for one more question. If anybody has any comments or feedback or questions.
You referenced Broadway specifically. There isn't much of a struggle to get fans to listen to live music on Broadway. Have you done much data looking at some of the smaller venues or more venues that actually attract independent artists?
Yeah, so we're mainly focused on the venues that attract independent artists, like you say, those smaller traditional venues. But the reason that Broadway makes sense to us is because they also have the booking component, which our website also caters towards, making that process easier for them, quicker for them, so that they save time and money on that side is also important to us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Crystal. Great job. All right, our next team is Care Eco, and Corey Johnson is here to represent his company.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for your time. So my name is Corey Johnson. I'm a co-founder and CEO of a company called CareEco. So CareEco is a software as a service ecosystem designed to simplify and improve the healthcare experience for both patients and providers by leveraging technology to enable more proactive healthcare, thus reducing cost and improving patient health outcomes over time. We founded CareEco to solve really three major problems that we've identified with the US healthcare system. And the largest one is that it's almost entirely reactive. We only go see a healthcare professional when something hurts or it's broken. And that's not a great way to stay on top of your healthcare over time. Also, if patients are really up on their healthcare and they're paying attention, they often struggle to know when and how to engage their healthcare professional. And then when they decide to, they have to call in and make an appointment and try and get somebody on the phone. It's a painful process. Why can I schedule international travel on my cell phone easier than I can get a visit with my primary care doctor in the next 30 to 60 days? Providers have this information at their fingertips to solve this problem, but they lack the time and manpower to do so. It's not an efficient use of a highly trained MD or nurse's time to scroll through a medical record to look for opportunities to engage my health. They've got to look at patients that are in front of them dealing with those urgent needs. But we think we've solved that by using technology. So CareEco sets and enables proactive healthcare by leveraging EHR data that the providers already have to identify gaps in care and opportunities for proactive medicine, dramatically reducing cost and improving health outcomes over time. We both identify these opportunities for engagement, but then also inform the patient of their need for care and provide a seamless way for the patient to schedule an appointment all from their smartphone without having to log into a portal, without having to download an app or anything like that. We're taking these mundane practice or operations out of the care staff's hands and automating them so that they can spend more time focused on the patients that are in front of them. My management team and I have decades of experience in healthcare data on both the payer and provider side, building out these types of systems for Fortune 100 companies. Most recently, I was responsible for the data and analytics portfolio at HCA Healthcare here in town. My co-founder and myself were responsible for sourcing in data from 180 plus hospitals, 3,000 some odd care centers across 20 states, all using different EHR systems. And what we've been able to do is to leverage that expertise and experience on an enterprise level and aimed it at the point at which care happens most frequently and most importantly, which is where somebody sits down in front of a doctor to discuss their healthcare options. So if we can leverage that type of power and put it at the forefront of healthcare, what kind of impact can we make on that patient's health over time? Let me explain a little bit how it works. So CareEco seamlessly processes data from the EHR using a proprietary algorithm and then identifies gaps in care using American Medical Association guidelines in conjunction with our own team of internal medical advisors. Once we've identified an opportunity, we then have a custom patient engagement engine that reaches out to that patient to both inform them of their need for care and provide them with an opportunity to schedule from their smartphone in real time. I'll give a quick demo here. So this is a live look at our patient portal. This is a patient population of 100,000 patients. This is a 16-physician practice up in Boston. That's where this data is coming from. If you notice here, we're looking at a subset of women's health opportunities. So we've got 100,000 patients. We identified 232 actionable opportunities to bring a patient in for some type of care. The numbers that you're seeing there, so we'll look at women's health screening opportunities. We've got 67,000 of those, and that represents a $6.8 million value if we were to capture all of that and bring those patients in for a visit. If I click on that tile, I can explore the patient set. This is a list of those patients that are due for that treatment. We can sort this by payer type, by age, by demographic, by location, what have you. And the idea here is that we can either reach out to that patient group manually from that process, or we can set up this system using some custom rules that the practice has the access to have the system run in the background, very much a set it and forget it model, so that CareEco is always looking for the next opportunity of engagement for that patient, reaching out to the patient and engaging them to bring them in for a treatment. From the patient side, it looks something like this. You're going to receive a text message that lets you know about what your healthcare need is. If it's something sensitive, where it's PHI related, you're going to receive a message that just says something generic like, hey, you've got a message from Dr. Smith's office. Click here to view it. And we'll ask you to verify your last name and date of birth so somebody looking at your phone doesn't see that you've got some kind of embarrassing treatment or something else that you wouldn't want other people to know about. But Once you click on that link and decide, yeah, you know what, I do need to schedule that annual wellness visit, the system is going to automatically port in your health demographic information, your name, your insurance information, all that good stuff, allow you to update it, just as you would if you were going to a healthcare facility and filling out that god-awful paperwork that we all hate. And then you select the provider at your clinic that would be most appropriate for you, the one you want to see. The system then is going to query the practice workflow tool and identify open appointment slots at that practice time and bring you in for a visit to confirm. Healthcare is a massive market, $29.7 billion in just the primary care space alone, and we've identified about $83 million that we think we can capture in the first 2 years inside a 250-mile radius of Nashville, and we've already started capturing a little bit of that money. CareEco is not new. This is something we've been working on since December of 2019. We created an MVP, put that out in front of some test audiences with some providers and practices to get their feedback. And then we got a pilot in place in Murfreesboro last March, a 3-month pilot that I'll talk about here in a moment. It was very successful. And then most importantly to us, in January of last month, we onboarded our first 2 clients. So that pilot that I mentioned was a single physician practice in Murfreesboro. They had about 2,100 patients. We ran CareEco for 3 months and scheduled over 1,000 appointments for this group, representing a $77,000 in realized revenue for this practice. They were very pleased with what we had done and very quickly said, hey, we don't want to turn this off. How do we keep going? Can we pay for this service? That led to us identifying a pricing structure that would help us handle small practices, but also scale up as the needs of our clients grow. So we've got a tiered pricing model that's based on a subscription software as a service that can handle everything from single physician practices like that up to those medium scale health systems. The idea here is that this is all built on cloud computing technology, infinitely scalable and pretty cheap for us to offer to our patients, where we can provide competitive pricing to our clients while also maintaining really impressive profit margins that one would expect from a SaaS company. So where we are today, we raised $320,000 last summer to stabilize the product, to take it from a pilot, bolted together MVP into something we could go out and sell to to clients. We're now ready to take this to the next level. We have an interesting problem, which is we have more interest in potential clients and demos set up than we have the ability to properly facilitate in a timely manner. So we're looking to raise a $2 million seed round at this time to onboard 4 key leaders who are already engaged with the business in a side capacity to come on and help us start to earn some of that revenue that is potentially on the table. At this point, we are looking not just for any investor, but the right type of investor that can partner with us to open doors, build relationships, get us into where we want to be. This is not a company that's looking for money to solve a problem. We have a technology that has been proven at a relatively small scale, that has customers that are willing to pay for it. So we're looking for investors to partner with us to help us scale a business. I'd be happy to take your questions.
Chris, you want to start us off?
Yeah, happy to start. Great presentation. Quick question, actually 2 questions. One is talk a little bit about the competitive landscape. Obviously, EMRs have kind of dabbled around this. And then the second, your go-to-market strategy, it seems to be physician practices on the ambulatory side. Anything or any thoughts around the acute side or hospital where you guys have a lot of experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of that question was on, remind me the... Competition, yeah. So a couple of different places. As you mentioned, EHRs have some level of this functionality. A lot of those systems were built in the 90s and just don't have the same level of adaptability that we've been able to build. But you can absolutely pay Epic or one of these really expensive EHR systems a lot of money, and they'll give you something similar. However, we're offering a much simpler process where they don't need to spend any money on it. We'll take care of it. You're just paying us. It's kind of a pass-through. In terms of scaling it outside, we are looking primarily at the primary care model, but we do have some interesting traction coming from some medium-sized health systems. The HCAs and the LifePoints of the world are not our clients. We've had conversations with them and they say, yep, you guys are doing something, but we've got a team of IT professionals that are doing it for us. We're going after those, 3 hospital groups, 3 hospital systems that don't have the resources to leverage against this, where we get to come in and say, hey, we've done this for the big boys. We're doing it on the smaller scale here. We have a solution that you can roll out that would scale to your needs.
Awesome. Another question, Ethan?
I guess my question is, I guess from the consumer side of things, how do you avoid this coming across or feeling transactional and sterile in the way that you're pitching a business and a model and a platform to the private practices and the healthcare systems for them to realize additional revenue or more revenue? How do I then, as the patient, not feel like I'm being put into a system that's triggering or indicating against an algorithm that might not be specific to me, and then is using me as a financial resource?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've built is the tool is only looking for things that are American Medical Association approved. So, and the client has the ability to fine tune this for his patient set. So we're building in a level where if a provider doesn't want to reach out to patients for certain things, we can avoid that. The other thing here is that this is not designed to be just a moneymaker for the practice. It's designed to really improve the overall health of the patient population. So it certainly can feel that way. I know I get annoyed when I get messages from Wendy's telling me to come back in and get
right.
a free
No,
fry.
it's not that it's real, but it's sometimes misguided. But especially in this industry, I think we don't have a very good track record of preventative medicine. So indicating the individuals that they should be going to the doctor more is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's the idea too, being branded as the practice itself. I don't want the customer to know that CareEco exists. This is, Dr. Smith or Dr. Joseph saying, hey, Ethan, we want you to come in for this annual wellness visit. So it really depends on how much do you trust your doctor to give you good advice.
Mark, we've got time for one more question.
So I'm curious how you think about building out the rules engines. Obviously, you got a lot of guidelines. How are you targeting and focusing in on the guidelines you're building out?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question and one we talk about a lot. There's a opportunity to abuse the system, kind of as Ethan, as you were talking about, if you wanted to really expand this and turn this into a, how much money can we squeeze out of a patient. We have an independent board of medical advisors that reviews all of the customizations that practices recommend. That comes before the group to decide, hey, is this something that a road we want to go down, or is that something that starts to get, in an area we don't want to tread on for ethical reasons?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey. All right. Our last team competing is ESGI, and we've got Adam Jace and we've got Max Mona here to pitch their concept.
Hi, everyone. My name is Max Mona. I'm here with my classmate and co-founder, Adam Jace, and we're here to talk about ESG Impact, or ESGI. First, what is ESG? E is environmental, S is social, G is governance. This acronym embodies the impacts that companies have outside of their traditional products and services and how it affects their internal and external stakeholders. What we've built at ESGI is a software that works with venture capital firms, private equity groups, and their portfolio companies, and helps them de-risk operations and maximize value through the integration of ESG practices. With any early stage company, I think it's important to start with our team. Both Adam and I have been working on this for the past 7 months in tandem with our studies as MSFs here at Vanderbilt. We've brought on Chris Ma, an experienced developer and software engineer at Microsoft, Carter and Logan are campus representatives and growth interns at Harvard and Maryland. And then Tony Jace and Dr. Mark Cohen have been advisors and have helped us build out the business development side and IP refinement of our business. Now, what's the problem? The problem is, outside of big publicly traded companies, ESG is a maze. Some companies succeed building their own internal frameworks, others are lost. The only solution and guidance that companies are able to find right now is through ESG consulting. And that leads us into a massive opportunity of ESG assets under management and how they're expected to grow to $53 trillion by 2025. What we found through an extensive pain point analysis and customer discovery in the fall after talking with more than 100 venture capital and private equity firms is that they're interested in ESG, they just don't know where to start.
Yep, thank you, Max. So our solution is a web application that educates, assesses, and also integrates companies with best-in-class ESG practices, both generally and as seen in their sector. We also give the tools for funds to have oversight of their portfolio so they can assess and track how their companies are doing. The real crux of our application, though, is our impact rating and materiality assessment. And those pieces, they qualify and quantify ESG according to the business's operations. So for a tech startup, this could look like how to source diverse talent. And for a middle market trucking company, this could be how to measure emissions properly. Some other features that we have on our web application are our resource center, which provides training materials, dedicated analyst support, a community hub that can help connect the impact investor and the impact focused fund, company, and much more. So our goal is to disrupt ESG consulting, which is time intensive, it costs a lot of money, and it's intrusive to operations. One big thing that we saw about consulting is that how they work is you just email back and forth 1,000 times. You have version 17 of some PowerPoint presentation, likely done by an intern, and it's just not fun for anyone. So we simplified the process into 3 steps. You sign up in minutes, you take a few assessments, which usually takes around 3.5 hours, and then for the rest of the year, you have activities and recommended projects that help better your ESG scores and also just take those next better steps. Our strategy is to go into the market at a price point to gain a lot of traction. So our beta starts on April 4th of this year, and we are priced at $499 for everyone across the board. We want to reward our early customers for being believers in our product. Our short-term goal is to really address the pain points that come up during this beta trial, and our long-term goals are to prove that ESG impact in our platform helps increase the multiple and therefore the valuation of these companies. We took a conservative approach to our total addressable market, and being finance students, we modeled that we would get $2.5 million in revenue by year 3. And one statistic we found really interesting was that 11% of venture capital funds already have an ESG agenda, but they don't really have a strategy on how to implement this agenda across their companies.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Let's talk a little bit more about our competitive landscape. And so Pulse ESG, Nevada, and Gobi are 3 of our main competitors that we've identified, 2 of which are both pre-product. This is a rather new space that companies are jumping into. What we've seen too, and what probably is our biggest comparative advantage to these firms, is that we have experience in early stage M&A and venture capital, and we think that's where we add the best value. With working with some of the most innovative firms as we continue to grow, we think naturally we'll find our way into the enterprise software market. Now, for milestones and traction, we, as Adam mentioned, are launching beta on April 4th. Over the past 2 weeks, we've been onboarding customers. We currently have venture funds in Dubai, England, the US, and Canada all signed up along with portfolio companies, and actually just yesterday closed our first $1 billion fund. We're doing a pilot project with a fund-to-funds ESG investor, which is one of the first comprehensive ESG ratings in that space. And we are currently negotiating a licensing agreement with an alternative investments platform that does over $1 billion in volume to be their trusted partner on ESG due diligence for funds. As we continue to grow, we are hoping to raise a seed round in the summer to continue scaling, and are really excited about that. And I'll leave with this thought. At ESGI, we strongly believe that not every company needs to be impact focused, but any company can benefit from finding the prudent balance of profit and impact. Thank you.
Great job, guys. All right, any questions from the judges? Matt, please.
Yeah, another great presentation, as they've all been, and I wish we had more time to hear more about each of these. I had a question about really in a razor focus on who is the customer base that you're going after. Who is the target? Is it at the boardroom? Is it at the venture capital investor room? Is it at the entities themselves? And then when you had, I think one of the attributes on the slides was a dedicated analyst resource. How do you see doing that in this test case that's coming up, improving that is a valued point of difference?
Yeah, great questions. To answer the first one, what's probably most interesting about our software is that, and what we've seen so far with customers signing up, is that whether it's a portfolio company that's looking towards maybe a Series A or a Series B raise over the next 6 to 12 months, or a venture fund that wants to completely try and de-risk operations and potentially raise another fund on their side, ESG has not only turned into a value-driving tool, it's a great marketing tool as well. And so what we try and do is help companies at any stage of their business. And I'm sorry, what was that second part of your question again?
Well, the second had to be just about the support. I think you said a dedicated analyst resource that was different than your competitors. If you could expand on that.
Per the subscription basis that you get an allotted amount of time per quarter to connect with an ESG analyst, just to ask questions about strategy, integration. For some companies and some of the initial questions that we've seen so far, just in our manual use cases, it's been, why is this policy important to my operations? Why does this drive value? And so what we try and do, ESG consulting is ripe for disruption, but people still like to sometimes talk to people, and we wanted to add that component.
Next question.
Kind of just to follow up on that. So how much of the process is completely automated and how much would require staffing, and what does that kind of look like in the growth model?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how the process actually works is you take the materiality assessment, it's 30 minutes. You then get on an analyst call, which is around 20 minutes, just to make sure that you did everything right. And that really, identifies your stakeholders and what actually, happens from your business on the impact standpoint. And then you do a comprehensive impact rating, which is, a 60 question long questionnaire about specifically your business sector. And then you get on another analyst call for about an hour to discuss that and then take on, recommended projects for the rest of the year. So it's about an hour and a half of analyst calls we estimate per year. And then, the processes, or the assessments are really short.
To briefly add on that, so as a first-time software startup going to beta, we're very service-focused. And so while we don't know if this is going to be how we scale, we want to make the best impression as possible with these venture capital firms, because this is a very specialized market. And so service is that added piece that we want to add.
Jumping on his question earlier, I just want clarity. Who's writing the check for your ideal customer profile? Is it the portfolio company, the venture fund, or a consulting practice?
Both the portfolio company and the venture fund. Through our customer discovery, we saw that venture funds usually don't have the budget to pay $20,000 for software, and so we spread the cost around their entire portfolio.
And if you're the portfolio company, who's your target inside of the portfolio company?
We've met so far with either investor relations or partners. We've had a few principals, but mostly senior level employees at the funds that want to monitor their entire portfolio, especially the ones that are writing checks.
All right, we've got time for one more question. Ethan?
Do you see this expanding beyond the venture portfolio company sort of ecosystem into the actual corporate boardroom and changing ESG practices across the board for all business?
Yeah, that's how we'd like to grow, I think, in mind. But, our biggest, focus right now is to start small in a niche and then, build out a proven strategy. We take a very heavy data science approach. And so once we can start to prove that we change the multiple, that seems to be a scalable business that we can bring to the wider market.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Will you join me in recognizing all of the teams that participated that were fantastic? And I also recognize that 10 minutes is a very difficult time to get all your questions asked, and just a sliver of understanding these amazing students and their teams. So I know, it's not just the competition, it's also about the community. And so if anyone is interested in having further conversations, you can find me, you can find the teams. I know that they would welcome any perspective and any, conversations with members of our community. And so at this time, I'm gonna ask the judges that if you haven't already, if you could scan the QR code or go to the survey and start filling out that survey. We're gonna give you a little bit of time to do that, and we're gonna jump to a couple of other fun things. We are going to jump to I'm looking at the slides. Fan favorite. All right. This is where the fun comes into and the community piece. So what we would ask all of you to do is to scan the QR code that's going to pop up here in just a second, or go to the link provided and vote for who you think is your fan favorite. And if you're online, virtual watching this, please do so too. We really want, again, the entire community's participation if possible. And one of the cool things is I believe it's gonna actually populate the results in a couple minutes. And so while we're waiting on that, I did just wanna give a big thank you to our sponsors. So we have some really incredible sponsors that have been with us today that have helped in support in making this happen. And so, oh, it's actually coming up live now. Maybe I should stop talking. All right, well, let's give it a minute and we'll see who the fan favorite is. This is my first time doing these kind of automatic. Exciting to watch. All right, if you haven't voted, it's automatic, it updates. So, all right, drum roll, please. I guess no drum roll because it's up here. The winner of the fan favorite is Team 4, Care Eco. Congratulations, Care Eco. Fantastic. Well, judges, while you finish completing your surveys and we tally up the scores there, we will go ahead and thank our sponsors, which I had started with. And so we have a lot of sponsors that have made today happen. After today, we will actually have an after party at the Wondery, which is right across the street. And so they have been a tremendous supporter, so special thank you to them. In addition to that, we've had, sponsors I've already mentioned, Community Coffee, Daily Crunch Snacks, Perfectly Cordial, and additional other sponsors. The Nashville Entrepreneur Center is obviously a fantastic partner. Collective 615, and again, anyone that is mentioned on here, we are incredibly grateful for your participation, and we wouldn't be here today without it. So once again, to kind of bring it back to Sean and Andrew's message, it does take a village and it does take a community, so we appreciate you immensely. All right. So, how we doing, judges? We need a little bit more time. I could do a song and dance. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. Well, let me talk a little bit about what'll happen next. So, if you're live and in person and you didn't see a particular speaker that you're interested in, as soon as we finish, we're gonna actually be able to access the recordings. And so all sessions, well, apparently all sessions are on demand now. This really is live. And so if you are interested in watching a session you didn't get to see, please visit VEC2022.com and enter the invitation code WATCHVEC. Also, feel free to share that with a friend. If you know of somebody that you feel like would have benefited from a message that came from today's sessions, again, this is an open community and we want as many people as possible to hear the amazing speakers, panelists that we had with us today. And so with that, the next step after this for virtual You all are done. You're off the hook. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. If you are in person and you do want to attend the after party, as I mentioned, it's right across the street at the Wondery. They're going to have some special treats for anyone that attends. It's really just going to be an opportunity, again, to build connection and community there. So we welcome you to come to the after party from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Wondery. All right. How we doing? Oh, take your time. I spoke too soon. And thank you all for bearing with us. We are a true startup where we're still kind of figuring out the logistics of the pitch competition. While we're waiting, does anyone have any questions for me? Because I can answer questions, or you can chat. Oh, question over there. So that's fantastic. So a little bit more about the Center for Entrepreneurship. So as I mentioned, we are really focused on the student alumni community piece and being able to be both a resource and a connection point. And so we do things like workshops to help build skills that entrepreneurs are looking to access. We actually had 2 workshops the past 2 weeks, one on venture capital and one on entrepreneurial sales that were really successful and go-to-market strategy. We also have things like our Firestarter pitch competitions, which is essentially what we just experienced, but in a smaller, more intimate setting and longer. We have also just connection opportunities, so a lot of different networking events that we bring together. And in addition to that, we also offer grants and scholarships for students. We are in the process of working to launch an actual community platform that will expand us beyond just Nashville. And so if you are an alum that lives in San Francisco and you want to be pulled into the community, you'll be able to have access to and connect with students, alums, again, community members, anybody that's interested in being a part of the ecosystem. We'll be doing elements like matching, mentorship, all of that. So if you are, again, interested in getting involved, I know that there's some cards on the tables. We welcome and are, obviously very excited. All of the speakers today gave their time, and we're really excited. So if, again, you want to be involved, whether it's on the receiving end or on the giving end, please reach out. Our website is vanderbiltc4e.com, and my email is stacy.pulicki, which is going to be a hard one, pawlicki@vanderbilt.edu. All right. I think we actually need some, do you have some drum roll music or something you can give us? Dun, 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 dun. This is great. Thank you, guys. All right. And the winner of the $1,500 prize is Care Eco. I mean, it's not the Grammys, but if you want to give a speech, you can. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Well, that closes up our day. So again, if you're in person, you want to attend the after party, we welcome that. And just once again, thank you so much for joining today. I hope you walk away with something that you've learned, an interesting insight, a new connection, because that's obviously a big theme we heard today. And I look forward to seeing you at future events. So thank you so, so, so much.